أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيد الأولين والآخرين محمد بن عبد الله صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه. أما بعد، فيا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم ما أصبح بنا من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك، فلك الحمد ولك الشكر. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. فسبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah our Lord, our Creator, the Lord of all things. We thank and praise Him for any kind of ni'mah or favor or blessings that He the Almighty bestows upon us, as well as for any ni'mah that He bestows upon anyone among His creation. We will acknowledge that whatever we happen to be having of ni'mah or favor or blessings are His doings without anybody else's input. فَمِنْكَ وَحْدَكَ لَا شَرِيكَ لَكَ. And we bear witness to Him reserving and deserving the right to be worshipped without any associate as well. May Allah grant us the kalima of Tawheed, by which we live and by which we die, inshaAllah. May Allah the Almighty shower His choicest blessings upon the final messenger, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his household, companions, and all those who follow his examples to the day of resurrection. May Allah make us among them. Servants of Allah, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam relayed a certain dua to his Sahaba, which he received it from Allah the Almighty. And the dua says, اللهم إني أسألك فعل الخيرات وترك المنكرات وحب المساكين وأن تغفر لي وترحمني وإذا أردت فتنة قوم وبعبادك فتنة فتوفني غير مفتون وأسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب عمل وحب كل عمل يقربني إلى حبك. This is in a singular form, and you could supplicate as follows. That is whereby you widen it. In this way, the dua not only benefits you, but it also benefits your fellow brother and sister as well, by saying, اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك. اللهم إنا نسألك فعل الخيرات وترك المنكرات وحب المساكين وأن تغفر لنا وترحمنا وإذا أردت فتنة قوم فتوفنا غير مفتونين ونسألك حبك وحب من يحبك. To the end of the dua. Why did the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam get this dua? It reads that هذا الدعاء المبارك الذي بين يديك يا عبد الله هو من أجمع الأدعية وأكملها وأجلها قدرا وشأنا لتضمنه سؤال الله تعالى التوفيق إلى القيام بأفضل الأعمال من الصالحات، وسؤاله الوقاية من كل المنكرات والسيئات والفتن والمحن في الدين والمعاش والمعاد. فينبغي للعبد الإكثار منه وفهم مقاصده ومدلولاته والعمل بمضامينه، فإن من تعلمه وعمل به نال السعادة والهناء في الدنيا والبرزخ والآخرة. فمن جلالة هذا الدعاء وعلو مكانته أن الله تبارك وتعالى أمر حبيبه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم حينما رآه في المنام ورؤية الأنبياء حق، فقال له، أي قال له سبحانه وتعالى، أي قال الله لمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم: يا محمد إذا صليت فقل اللهم إني أسألك فعل الخيرات. This dua, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu got this dua from Allah the Almighty during his dream. In his dream, he dreamt of Allah the Almighty giving him this dua. Unlike the dream of my Shaykh and your Shaykh, and whom you regard as a noble person of your village. Now, that person's dream is his dream. Yeah, he may dream of something good, but he is not a messenger of Allah. Allah is not telling him, go and make, tabligh. Let's use this word. Tabligh is to propagate, to extend the message to others. Yeah, you may have a good dream, but you are not a messenger of Allah the Almighty. So his dream is not to be compared with mine and yours. And Allah said to him to pray with this dua, to hold on to it. He did and commanded the companions to also hold on to this dua. It briefly means, Allahumma inni as'aluka fi'lal khairat. Allah, I ask you to grant me, bless me with the ability, with the energy to do that which is good. Fi'lal khairat. To do that which is good. You can name them. We don't have to spend our entire 30 minutes on fi'l al-khairat. You know, salat is part of it. Zakat is part of it. Sadaqah is part of it. Feeding the hungry is part of it. Kindness towards your parents is part of it, whether they are Muslims or not. Fi'l al-khairat, it is general. Give me the capability, the cravings for doing and wanting to do that which is good, always. وَتَرْكَ الْمُنْكَرَاتِ وَتَرْكَ الْمُنْكَرَاتِ. And give me the ability, the capability to also stay away from anything that is bad in terms of actions and utterances. وَحُبَّ الْمَسَاكِينِ. Allah, make me someone who loves the needy. Someone whose door is widely open for the needy. وَحُبَّ الْمَسَاكِينِ. And this is not an invitation for me or for you to play lazy and always trouble, burden your fellow brothers. to feed you, to clothe you. This is not a license for you to be going throughout the Masjid, overburdening them, simply because you are a brother Muslim. Yes, you are. Remember what the Messenger of Allah said. He said, the given hand is far better in Allah the Almighty's sight than the receiving one. The hand which is doing this, which is giving, is far better than the one that is receiving. So which of these two company would you want to find yourself? Always begging? And if a brother doesn't even have it, you get mad at him, as if it is his obligation to take care of him. And the messenger, of course, if the person is really a needy, and you have the ability to assist him, do so. So the messenger said, As'aluka hubbal masakin. Grant me the love of the needy. Make me someone whose door is widely open for the needy. وَأَن تَغْفِرَ لِي وَتَرْحَمَنِي. And him being the Messenger of Allah sallama, he used to eat with them, to share food with the needy. Unlike me and you. If I'm making $150,000 yearly, $150,000 yearly, oh, that guy making $25,000 is not my class. So when we met at a dinner, no, how can I sit around the same table with him? He's just making $25,000. I'm making $500,000. He's not my class. Some feel too big to even shake hands with someone they think does not earn just as they do. That was not the case with our Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Said, وَحُبَّ الْمَسَاكِينَ وَأَن تَغْفِرَ لِي وَتَرْحَمَنِي. And I ask you, Allah, to shower upon me of your infinite mercy, and to forgive me as well for my shortcomings. وَإِذَا أَرَدْتَ فِتْنَةَ قَوْمٍ. And I ask you, whatever you decide to put your servants, your creation, to go under a trial or a tribulation or musibah, or to experience fitna of any kind. The outbreak of corona was fitna. The rampant of killing here and there, locally or internationally, is part of fitna. Lack of barakah in our food is part of fitna. You eat a whole plate, 5 plates, but you still don't feel it. Lack of barakah from that which you consume is also fitna. So إِذَا أَرَدْتَ بِعِبَادِكَ فِتْنَةً فَتَوَفَّنِي غَيْرَ مَفْتُونٍ. If ever you decide to put your servants, your creation, to test, Allah, I ask you, tawaffani, cause me to live, to depart, ghayra maftun, without being affected by the fitna. And in this is a reminder that if there is something that is troubling you, don't do it your way. Do it the Messenger of Allah's way. Don't just wish to die because you lose your job. A job that gives you $500,000 a year, you lose it. And your license is gone for some reason. Then you went crazy. All you think is just finishing yourself. That is not Muhammad's way. He advises us, if because of inconvenience, discomfort, of fitna, of trials, you think about maut, this is how you go about it. Allahumma ahyini ma alimta al-hayata khayran li wa tawaffani idha alimta al-wafata khayran li. That's it. And live, that is in the hands of Allah. And he advised his uncle to pray with this dua when he was seriously sick. So this is how you have to go about it. Allahumma ahyini ma alimta al-hayata khayran li wa tawaffani idha alimta al-wafata khayran li. Yes, you lose your job today, which gives you $100,000 a year. And Allah knows, out of His infinite knowledge, years before you come to exist, that after losing this job, 3 weeks later, 1 month later, a year later, you're gonna get a job which gives you 10 times of that. Have that trust in Allah the Almighty. And always go by the yardstick. Why this dua today? Why am I sharing it with our fellow brothers and sisters? It's because if you are looking for a convincing dua, right, with which you want to supplicate in Allah the Almighty's palace, there is no dua that is very convincing than that which was taught by the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or which is also driven from the ayat and the ahadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Think of this. Allah says in Surah Al-Anfal, يا أيها النبي قل لمن في أيديكم من الأسرى إن يعلم الله في قلوبكم خيرا يؤتكم خيرا مما أخذ منكم ويغفر لكم. It is information, right? And someone whom Allah bless with knowledge, and he took a look at the statement, said, I can drive a dua out of this statement. How? By saying, Allahumma ja'al fi qalbi khayra, ya'lam illahu fi qulubikum khayra. Allahumma ja'al fi qalbi khayra, yu'tikum khayran mimma ukhidha minkum wa yaghfir lakum, wa atini khayran mimma ukhidha minni wa mimma fatani waghfir li. So when looking for dua, make sure that it is in line with Al-Quran or Hadith. It shouldn't have any funny names like Il. Where do you get that from? All you need in your dua is Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Kareem, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum, Ya Rabb al-Samawati wal-Ard, O Allahumma, O Rabbana. Il in your dua, you end up calling some jinn you don't know. You cannot even call Jibril's name in your dua. Ya Jibril or Ya Israfil. No angel should be entertained in your dua. No messenger should be entertained in your dua, regardless of his nearness to Allah the Almighty. They all call upon Allah the Almighty. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam, he said, إن الذين تعبدون من دون الله لا يملكون لكم رزقا فابتغوا عند الله الرزق. He directed them to Allah, not to call him. He is just there to extend Allah the Almighty's message to them. So was Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So always look for a good source in terms of your dua. اللهم إني أسألك حبك وأن تغفر لي وترحمني وإذا أردت فتنة قوم فتوفني غير مفتون وأسألك حبك. And I ask you to bless me with your love. This is a love of two dimensions, whereby Allah loves you and you love Allah. A love of two dimensions. One results from Allah to the servant, and one results from servant to Allah. As'aluka hubbak. I ask you to bless me with your love. Someone whom you love and he loves you. And Allah loves all of us. Why? Because He bestowed on each and every one of us of His uncountable ni'mah. Don't you have two eyes with which you see? As Muslim, as someone who making sujood, doesn't that person outside there calling upon someone else have the same eyes? He sees red and you see red. He sees black and you see black. Can you or him as well make up for that ni'mah? Is there an amount of money that can buy you that? I remember over 10 years ago, then I saw on one of the news channels, someone due to an accident lost this part, the wrist, right and tail. And back then, for them to have a plastic one for him, they said it's gonna cost him $100,000. Just a plastic one. $100,000. How about today? Over 10 years ago, with the inflation. How much do you make a year? If imagine you lose both, and they said each $100,000. That's how much? 200,000. Do you have it? And you lose this too. And now you have 4. You need 4. Each is $100,000. You do the math. And maybe there is some problem with your kidney. Oh, to fix that, $500,000. Yeah, Rob. You see how expensive it is for a fellow human being to treat you. Have you ever think of its pricelessness? All these are very priceless. We're talking about As'aluka hubbaka wa hubba, and I said Allah loves all of us, everybody. The Muslimun and the Kuffar. But not all those that are loved by Allah in turn do love Allah or have love for Allah the Almighty. He feed them and they worship somebody else. So as'aluka hubbak. Make me someone whom you love and loves you as well. When you love somebody, you don't go contrary. You don't contradict that person. All you do is wanting to please that person. And if you love Allah, how do you prove it? By holding on to the do's as required by Allah the Almighty, and staying away from the don'ts as also required by Allah the Almighty. وَحُبَّ مَنْ يُحِبُّكَ. I ask you to grant me, to bless me with the love of someone who loves you. If you love, if you hate someone whom you know loves Allah, then there is something wrong with your heart. That's why the Messenger Allah taught him to say, وَأَسْأَلُكَ حُبَّ مَنْ يُحِبُّكَ. Make me someone who loves, anybody who loves you. As well as وَحُبَّ كُلِّ عَمَلٍ يُقَرِّبُنِي إِلَىٰ حُبِّكَ. And grant me the love of every and each type of deed which will earn me your love. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيد الأولين والآخرين محمد بن عبد الله صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه أما بعد. The Messenger taught us to pray by saying Allahumma inni as'aluka hubbal masakin. Hubbal masakin. And it is said that وحب المساكين هو أصل الحب في الله تعالى لأنه ليس عندهم من الدنيا ما يوجب محبتهم لأجله فلا يحبون إلا لله عز وجل والحب في الله من أوثق غرى الإيمان وهو أفضل الإيمان. With regards to that point whereby the Messenger prayed that, oh Allah, I ask you to make me someone whose door is widely open for the miskin, masakin. Make me someone who loves masakin, the needy, and he brings them closer to him. And they said, this is the real love. Why? Because that is a person who is needy, who has nothing that you are after. That man over there who has millions or billions of dollars, whom you would want to have as a friend. Why? Because of what he possesses. You want to have him as a friend because of what he has. But this is miskin. He has nothing. No shelter to provide you with. No transport to give you a ride. He's miskin. So they said this is real love, the love of miskin. Because he has nothing that, intrigues you to bring him near to you. And that means loving for Allah the Almighty's sake. And it is one of the most virtuous acts of Imam. The Messenger ﷺ said, Man ahabba lillahi wa abghada lillahi wa a'ta lillahi wa mana'a lillahi faqad istakmala al-iman. Whomsoever loves for Allah, hates for Allah, gives for Allah, withholds for Allah, these four. When you give because of Allah. When you hold from giving, you do so because of Allah the Almighty. And when you love, it is because of Allah. And when you dislike, it is because of Allah. He said this for attitude of giving for Allah, of not giving for Allah, of loving for Allah, and of disliking for Allah, this four. Whomsoever has this four, he is the one who has Iman in its entirety. فَقَدْ اسْتَكْمَلَ الْإِيمَانِ. You have a complete Iman. الحب لله والبغض في الله ومنع لله وأعطى لله فقد استكمل الإيمان. You have Iman in its entirety. 4. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ثلاث من كن فيه وجد بهن حلاوة الإيمان. Allah. You go to a restaurant, after you're done, you call for a dessert. Before your main meal or plate, you already have your appetizer. Because you love that soup. It's very tasty. And your dessert also because of its sweetness. Do you know that Iman is sweet? If you have no idea, listen to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, there are 3 things. Man kunna fihi. If you are fortunate to have them instilled in you, wajada bihinna halawat al-iman. Nothing stops that person who has these 3 things from having the sweetness of Iman. حلاوة الإيمان. أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما. The attitude of loving Allah and His Messenger over anybody else. You love Allah and His Messenger over yourself, over your parents, over your loving wife, over your loving kids, over your loving father, your loving mother. أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما. And the second is وأن يحب المرأة, is that when you love someone and you only do so for the sake of Allah, لا يحبه إلا لله. وأن يكره أن يعود في الكفر كما يكره أن يقذف في النار. The third is to hate or to dislike bouncing back into kufr, just as you would hate to see yourself plunged into hellfire. None of us would want to see himself being roasted alive, right? So your hate for that, your dislike for that situation if you have the same, when it comes to you bouncing back into kufr. وأن يكره أن يعود في الكفر كما يكره أن يقذف في النار. Due to the time constraint, let's take a look at the last another point, and then we start, inshallah. The messenger, he said, أسألك إذا أردت فتنة قوم فتوفني غير مفتون. Fitna. Why? Because fitna, musiba, calamity. Someone can easily lose his iman because of fitna. He couldn't bear it, so he gave up. Does Allah exist? If He does exist, why am I going through this? Then he gave up. Fitna. Okay, mashallah. So the messenger said, Ithnatani. So this hadith is regards to that point. وإذا أردت فتنة قوم فتوفني غير مفتون. اثنتان يكرههما ابن آدم. الموت والموت خير للمؤمن من الفتنة. Why does Messenger of Allah, did he pray in that fashion and urge us to also pray in that fashion? That if there is going to be a fitna, Allah asks you to take me away, so that fitna will not have any effect upon my iman. Allah knows. You pray in this fashion, and if it is going to have corrupt your iman, Allah will take you right at the right time. And if it is going to strengthen you, because some of us, they get their strength from masa'ib. The iman increase with masa'ib. Allah will make you go through it. So the Messenger said, there are two things which son of Adam hates. He doesn't like at all. He said one of them is al-maut, death. He said, وَالْمَوْتُ خَيْرٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِ مِنَ الْفِتْنَةِ. But dying is safer in terms of the iman of the believing person than to be around when fitna is rampant to the extent that he or she ends up losing that iman. So that's why you have to pray. أحيني ما علمت الحياة خيرا لي وتوفني إذا علمت الوفاة خيرا لي. Because of the fitna that I am currently facing, either individually or collectively. Said son of Adam hates to hear about al-maut, but sometimes maut for that person is better than fitna, so that him or her to find self in fitna. And the second one, وَيَكْرَهُ قِلَّةَ الْمَالِ. How do you feel after having $500,000 in your Chase bank account? 1 month later, it is 400,000. 2 weeks later, it drops to 200,000. A week later, it drops to 50,000. Then $1,000. You take a look at it, the statement. Hey, from 500,000, only 1,000 now. Then your temperature begins to rise, your blood pressure goes up. Son of Adam doesn't want that. He always wants to see an increase, right? You don't want to see it declining. He said, son of Adam hates this, qillatul mal, not having much or a lot. But he said, the Messenger said, وَقِلَّةُ الْمَالِ أَقَلُّ لِلْحِسَابِ. Not having a whole lot is better for you. It makes your hisab, your accountability, you being held for accountability, it makes it easy. When we are traveling and to anywhere, and I have 5 or 10 luggages, and you have 1. And it takes 5 minutes for each luggage to be checked in. Should I expect to spend the same amount of time, me having 10 luggages? Would you having only 1? If it is 5 minutes for 1, that means that person is going to spend 5 minutes over there. And me, I have 10. And still expect to spend 5 minutes? That is impossible. So it's going to be accordingly. How much time you spend at the counter is dependent on how many luggages you bring to check in. So if you have 10, you should expect 50 minutes. If you have 20, you should expect double of that. If you have less, you expect less. He said, وَقِلَّةُ الْمَالِ خَيْرٌ أَقَلُّ لِلْحِسَابِ. Not having a whole lot of property, of money, of wealth, it makes your hisab easy. You come to the hisab ground, you spend less than a second, and you leave. أقل للحساب. May Allah accept our deeds. The dua once again, Allahumma inni as'aluka fi'la al-khayrat. You're gonna make dua with it. Allahumma inna nas'aluka fi'la al-khayrat wa tarka al-munkarat wa hubba al-masakin wa an taghfira lana wa tarhamana wa idha aradta fitnata qawmin fatawaffana ghayra maftunin wa nas'aluka hubbak wa hubba man yuhibbuk wa hubba kulli 'amalin yuqarribuna ila hubbik. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. تب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. واغفر لنا فإنك أنت الغفور الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم. قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمني ويرحمكم الله.